Hey, Giant fans. Welcome to a victorious version of the Giant Insider podcast. My name is Jerry Foley. I'm the senior editor of the Giant Insider newspaper. And with me, as always, is Chris Bizignano, the beat writer for the Giant Insider. Chris, we're 2-7. It was a nice win. Immediately after the game was over, I started looking at the division like the idiot that I am. And I don't care, man. I don't care what anyone says. This division is still completely up for grabs. Now, they got to win more than one game. But I don't know, man. After the game was over, I felt pretty good. This team fights. And we said it before. The one thing Shermer does right, and he did a lot wrong last night, we can get into it. But the one thing he does right is these guys don't quit on him. And no. I think they got rid of the guys in the offseason and into this season that did quit. And I'm not putting Snacks Harrison in there. Snacks Harrison's the man. But this is a team of guys who maybe aren't that talented in spots, but they won't give up. And they've played hard for him every single game.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, Jerry. Spoke to me and Mike Thomas went back and forth a little bit on Twitter today. And
yeah,
he commented to me about, we played with unbelievable passion last night. You don't have to look very far to see a team that's losing that didn't give an effort when you look at the Jet game last Sunday, right?
Yep.
They played the Bills, and there was 3/4 of that team didn't want to be there. The Giants are 1-7 going into the San Francisco game last night, and they're playing like they're 7-1. So like you said, Jerry, yeah, the team lacks high caliber talent in certain spots on this roster, but they have not stopped busting their butt for Coach Shermer. And it's something I see when I'm at the facility. I see it in practice. I see, I get the feeling in the locker room. I've been telling you this, right, for a while, that these guys are all in. Doesn't mean they're going to have a winning record, as we've seen this year. They're 2-7. I understand that, but it's not because of lack of effort, Jerry. And Coach Shermer, we've talked about this before. He should be commended for that. And last night really showed, and I was really happy for Eli, man. I saw Eli at that smile at the end of the game.
Yeah, and you know
really
how much they love him. I mean, those players love him. You saw that it was on Twitter, a clip of Eli coming up behind Sterling Shepard, and Shepard just going nuts, saying he's there. Here's my man, and running off the field victorious. And look, there were a number of plays or a few plays at least, that Manning left on the field, and one of them was the bomb to OBJ that was just short. But he was pretty efficient. I mean, he's had better games statistics wise, but they were in this game the whole way. I actually felt like all along, like this is a game they can definitely win. I never felt like the 49ers were going to run away with anything. I mean, Manning finished 19 of 31, 188, 3 touchdowns, no picks. It's the most touchdowns he's thrown in a game all season, and he didn't have the yardage, but he was efficient.
What was the difference in this game, Jerry?
Yeah, no turnovers.
Yeah, and he executed in the red zone.
Yeah, red zone, right. Yeah, good point.
That's something that the team just could not do the first 8 games. Last night they did it. All 27 points came from the red zone. Eli with a beautiful pass to Odell for the 1 touchdown. Odell recognized his zone, got behind it a little bit. Perfect height on the pass from Eli to get over to defend his arms. Of course, the last touchdown to Shep. So, Jerry, they got 2 turnovers, and they executed in the red zone. That's why they won the game. Something they weren't doing. Well, they haven't done all season.
Yeah, I mean, I said, what were the odds that B.J. Goodson was going to have 2 interceptions in that game? It had to be like 10,000 to 1 or something. I mean, now both were on deflections, but like I said, like B.J. Goodson's an average he's an average linebacker. But he was playing kind of with reckless abandon last night. He played pretty well, and there were guys who didn't play well. We can get to it, but one of the things I saw right away, and I don't know what people were watching, but I thought Jamon Brown was a huge difference at right guard. Now, some people said, this is proof that the Giants have had an issue for years at right guard, and he's not going to fix anything. And I'm like, on the first touchdown, he blocked 2 guys. He handled the stunt very well and allowed Manning to wait, and then find Beckham in the end zone. So I thought, look, run blocking wasn't great, but pass blocking, I thought the offensive line was awesome last night.
Best game of the year by far.
Right?
No question about it. Nate Solder played his best game of the year by far. I thought Jamon Brown was pretty good. Obviously, a huge upgrade over Greco. Where Jamon Brown really showed his better play than Greco, I should say, is that when they had a double with Wheeler, he really supported Wheeler well. He's a big boy. Brown's 350 pounds. He's a strong boy, man. And a lot of times when he came over and doubled and helping Wheeler, he did the job. Where Greco was getting moved, okay, Wheeler at times struggled. That guy was doing an inside move, and Greco got over late picking him up, or he got past Greco. Last night, Jamon Brown was stoning a guy. Let me tell you, the 49ers have some studs up front. They got some studs.
Yeah.
They got number one picks. DeForest Buckner is a real solid player.
Yeah.
Armstead.
Yep.
Solomon Thomas. These guys have been getting to the quarterback this year, and they did a heck of a job. And listen, Jamon Brown's not a Pro Bowl right guard, but he definitely was an upgrade, and he definitely helped out the line last night. Eli had time last night. There was no question about it.
Yeah, I thought, the running game was a different story. You made a great observation. I agree with you. Barkley was 20 for 67 on the ground. And it seemed like, aside from the fact that he kept slipping, it seemed like he was trying to bounce everything to the outside, and he looks like he's trying to go the distance every time he touches the ball, which is, awesome because he's going to do it one every 15 times. But he's got to take what they give him sometimes and just get the 3, 4, 5 yards.
Yeah, I felt he left a few plays on the field last night where he kicked it out, where he had something inside. He's getting better at it. He recognizes that he can't hit a home run every time up. Last night, yeah. Listen, Jerry, I got to be honest with you. I think he's out of that mentality of Penn State, I could take it to the house every time. I really do.
Yeah.
I think he's out of that mentality, Jerry. He had that coming into the NFL, and he quickly realized, wow, I'm not doing that here. He talks about it all the time. He just sometimes he will kick it out where he doesn't see anything inside, where he doesn't recognize it, Jerry. And he kicked it. I saw him do that twice last night, and even though he only has 67 yards and 20 carries, which isn't a good average, only 3 point something. I don't think it was all the offensive line's fault. I think that could have been higher if he would have hit the proper hole at times.
But something else he did that you've been talking about since training camp is his hands, right? He had 4 catches for 33 yards, and the big one was the 23-yarder on the last drive, and 100 yards again from scrimmage. Technically, it was 23 plus 67 is 100. So, 8 out of 9 games that he's played, he's broken the 100-yard barrier from scrimmage. I think he's been everything that Giant fans have wanted, and this extra element. I mean, the screen game is terrible. And I don't know if it's because of Eli, if it's because of the line, or a combination of the two. We don't disguise it. But every time he catches the ball, I mean, there's like 3 guys around him, and we lose yard. The only team that loses yard is on a screenplay. But when they send him out, he can do some great things, and we've seen it all year. Like when they give him a chance to run the pass patterns, it's almost like another wide receiver for them.
No, Jerry, you know how I feel about that. I've been saying this since last April. The kid's got the best hands on the team. Now, last night, big difference, especially on that last drive. He did a little choice route out of the backfield. He recognized the linebacker had the coverage on his left shoulder. He went inside. Him and Eli on the same page. And what happened? Boom. Big play down the field. He also had a wheel route a little bit earlier that I felt he had his guy beat, and Eli just missed it. Right? It was a bad throw.
Yeah.
This is something that he's a major weapon in. I thought it would be more. We both discussed this numerous times. I thought it would be more of a threat in the receiving game as far as catching passes, moving forward. Big difference between that and a check down. He caught that ball last night moving forward on that last drive, and you saw what he did. He's a major weapon. He's got great hands, the kid. He came out the other day and the press said, "Oh, I'm a little upset. I dropped a few balls." We all looked at each other like, "What are you talking about?" The few balls that he said he dropped was like he had a leap with one arm. He went in with one hand. That's what he's talking about. So that's what a perfectionist he is. And he was a weapon last night. And Eli and him connected on that last drive. That was a huge play.
Yeah, I mean, he's better than advertised. I mean, not better than advertised, but I knew he was very good at the screen game in college, but you didn't see it till training camp. What a pass catcher he could be. Also on offense, Corey Coleman made a nice impact on well, not offense, but had a reception, but it made a nice impact on special teams. I mean, I think it was the best return of the year by a mile, a 51-yard return, and like he's a talented kid. You called it when they picked him up. He's a former first-round pick. He seems to be putting it together, and it can only help this team. Like the Giants are very good at the skill positions.
Oh, they're real good. They got a lot of good skilled players. But the whole story the whole year has been, the offensive line. I mean, that's the story. We know that. I mean, last night was a little bit better, and Eli was a little bit better. But Corey Coleman, Pat Shurmur really likes this kid, Jerry.
Yeah.
Listen, Coleman, when he was a number one pick, and who was playing really well for the Browns a couple of years ago, and then he broke his hand, and then he broke his hand again.
Yeah, right.
The next year. And then this year, he had some issues in Cleveland. They got rid of him, and then he went to a few other places, Buffalo, and then he went up with Bill up in Belichick land. And, Bill Belichick needs a certain type of player. And if he doesn't, feel he's going to get it, you're gone. And that's what happened with Coleman. I think Corey Coleman recognized the other day, he said, I was very young coming into this league. I didn't realize some things. Translate, I was immature.
Right.
He's maybe starting to get it now. I'm hoping because he's a talented kid, Jerry, a real talented player.
Yep.
And I tell you what, man, if this kid he was a real good kick returner in college, Jerry, real good kick returner.
Yeah.
Cleveland didn't use him in that capacity. Maybe one of the reasons why Hugh Jackson is out of a job, because little things like that. But you saw last night, Shurmur recognized this and said, you know what? Let's put this kid back there. He did it in college, and it worked out for him last night. It was the best kickoff return of the year last night.
Yeah, and it was nice to see Evan Ingram contribute because I think for the first half, it was almost like, wow, did they remember he's on the team? But he had a couple nice plays. He finished with, 3 catches for 40-something yards or so.
Big catches doing the last drive, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 4 catches, 46 it says, and the long of 31, and that's what we expected of him coming out. I mean, he can be that, Jordan Reed type, Zach Ertz type, who should be more of a security blanket for Eli, and it was good to see him get involved and make a few plays and have an instrumental impact on the game.
Yep, sure was. They talked about that route that he with the big play last night. They were working on that route all week, and they called it late in the game, and Evan got open on it. He burned his defender bad, and I'm glad to see he caught the ball, Jerry. No drops. We all know that's the issue with Ingram. So listen, he could be a real impact player too, man. Jerry, like you just said, man, there's just no shortage of talent in the skill positions with this team. It's amazing.
Yeah, and that's why, I'm an idiot, man, but I get excited when they get a win. You're 2-7, and you're like, man, we should be scoring more. And you see it now and then, and you're like, man, if this line can just hold up, and I know we're asking for a lot, but you look at if Ingram can put it together, and Shepard only had 2 catches, but one of them was huge. It was the game winner. I love the skill positions on this team. It's just it's all about the line holding up and giving time for Eli, and last night they did a good job of it, but defensively, different story. I mean, there is absolutely zero pass rush. Unless they blitz, no one. And I love Kerry Wynn. I like the story. Free agent out of Richmond. I like B.J. Hill. I like Tomlinson. But man, do they need a pass rusher on that line?
Yeah. Olivier is really the only one. That could really get to the quarterback. He drew a hole. He did draw a hole last night, but no sacks, man. Against the line that gave up 31.
Yeah, and I'm saying more from the line's perspective. Like linebacker, it's one thing. Vernon didn't play a good game, but he
was quiet. Yeah, he was quiet last night. Yeah.
But the bright side at linebacker is Lorenzo Carter.
Oh my God, Jerry! You saw my tweets last night. Would you put this kid on the field, please?
I mean, what does he have to? I didn't even care about the 15-yard penalty.
I didn't even think that was even a penalty. I guess it is in today's NFL.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. It was a terrible call.
Well, Jerry, I got to be honest with you. I can't say it's terrible because of the idiotic rules about driving down into the ground. I don't know, Jerry. To me, it's a terrible call, Jerry. I'm just thinking along the lines of a rules interpretation.
Yep.
I guess it is, Jerry, because he got him around the shoulder and kind of gave that extra drive into the ground. To me, he's just tackling a guy, Jerry.
Yep.
I don't know, bud. I don't know. To me, it's a football, okay? To the NFL, it's a penalty. I'm not going to blame the kid. I hope nobody even said anything to the kid. I want the kid playing aggressive, okay?
Yeah, if I'm the coaching staff.
He's athletic. What do you have? 9 tackles that night, 7 tackles. He was all over the field.
Yeah.
He was getting some pressure, a few pressures in there. The kid's got to be on the field, Coach Betcha. Please live with the few mistakes he makes, with the 6 other positive plays he makes. I don't want to see Connor Barwin again.
Yeah, Carter finished with 7 tackles, 6 solo.
7.
3 tackles for loss.
I mean, this, Jerry, you know I love to use this word when I talk about football. What word I like to use is active, okay?
Yeah.
Like, you could have 6 tackles or 7 tackles in a game, and it's like, okay, you made it 15 yards on the field, whatever. Active. That's the key. Active players. Lorenzo Carter is an active player, Jerry. 7 tackles, 3 for loss. That's active, Jerry.
Yeah, I think the last active linebacker the Giants had was Jesse Armstead, right? It's been a long time, but this kid has that type of potential, and maybe even more because he just looks more physically gifted. He's bigger, he's longer, he's fast. I don't know if he's faster, but
he's fast. Yeah, I don't know. Jesse was pretty fast, but the kid. I mean, how could you not like this kid, Jerry? Wait for year 2 in the system. You know, I'm really looking forward to him. You know, as he moves along the rest of the season. I think Betcha win. I think Betcha, he put his phone on in the third quarter, so I was going crazy about the not playing him and put him out. You know, you know what? I don't want to deal with this lunatic reporter come Thursday, so let me put Carter out there. You know, so but no, all kidding aside, you know, I'm glad he got more snaps in the second half. The kid is a good player. Keep him out there. We're 2-7, Jerry. Keep him out there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know why you would play anyone else on that side. And like you said, Connor Barwin, he's clearly not the answer. But in the middle, we talked about B.J. Goodson had a good game. I thought Alec Ogletree had the worst game of the season for him. I thought he looked slow. He couldn't cover anybody. I don't know. And I'm being serious when I say this. I don't know if it was the air quality that got to him. He looked gassed in that game, and he looked slow. And he didn't look that bad since preseason. Preseason was when we saw him getting burned by tight ends and running backs and everyone, and seemed to be holding up okay this year. But, I mean, he really struggled last night.
Jerry, could I be honest with you? You're starting to see why the Rams have no problem trading him.
Yeah.
You're seeing it. He's an average linebacker. And, there's 2 things that I'm seeing with Alec Ogletree is that he has problems in the running game getting off blocks, and sometimes he'll read the wrong gap. You know, the Rams were pretty bad against the run last year. And I looked that up, and when the Giants traded for him, and I said, well, Ogletree he's a pretty active linebacker, but it kind of scared me last year that they were pretty bad against the run. And you're starting to see it now, right? He's a nice little linebacker, Ogletree, but it doesn't surprise me that the Rams got unloaded him, Jerry, because, like you said, he struggled last night, man. He struggled. Not only in coverage, Jerry, in the run game. Not one of his better games.
Speaking of struggling, Curtis Riley. Well, how the hell is Michael Thomas not breaking the starting lineup on this defense?
They like Thomas in that big nickel. They love Thomas in that big nickel. They like him in a slot more than up high. I don't know, but Jerry, you ask Betcha, you ask around the building, and you gotta get a feel. Listen, they understand Curtis Riley's making some mistakes, especially angle-wise, half the field angle-wise on running plays that have burned them, right? And there's other aspects of his game, Jerry, that they kind of like. I'm just telling you. I'm not saying I agree with it, Jerry. I'm not saying I'm not going against you, because a lot of people are really down on him.
Right.
But there's other parts of his game that they like, Jerry. I'm just telling you, man, from being around Betcha, being in the building. He's one thing the kid is. I know he misses a few. He's very physical, man. He'll throw a hit on you.
Yeah.
And he's just raw, Jerry. He's not a safety, and he's still making mistakes. I understand you got to look for an upgrade. I understand that. I'm just telling you, Jerry, that they're not all down on him in that building. Now, they could be, I mean, they could be wrong. And like a lot of people go like, well, what the hell are they looking at then? You know what I mean? I'm just telling you the way they feel, Jerry. They're not all down on him. They're not, you know, sometimes you look at him and go, okay, you got to get this kid off the field. But, Jerry, he's been there since day one. They haven't yanked him yet. But what does that tell you? That tells you they still see something in this kid.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, it's maybe they.
I don't get it that time. Jerry. I know.
Yeah, maybe they see something that I don't. But I mean, then you go next player over, Landon Collins. Again, another guy who I thought had an Ogletree, not as bad as Ogletree, but not one of his best games. He looked really slow last night. He couldn't stay with the 49er tight end that you called that it was going to have a monster game, who looks like a bona fide star that they found last year, in the 5th round. I thought Collins played, just he looked slow to me, man.
Well, that's not his game, Jerry, against a pretty quick tight end in space. I didn't quite understand. Listen, it happens in this league where you're going to get matchups that aren't in your favor. That's what the NFL is all about, especially Shanahan. Shanahan's got a good offensive mind. No matter what you might feel about him, some people, are still ripping him over the Super Bowl, all that. But Kyle Shanahan's got a pretty good offensive mind. And he got some matchups on us last night that at times we didn't want. No question about it. But it seemed like, I got to expect you this Thursday when he meets with the media. It seemed like, Jerry, I mean, am I wrong? But it seemed like that was the matchup they wanted, right? Collins on Kittle.
Yeah, I didn't get it either. I didn't understand. It looked like they were looking for that, and it made no sense to me.
Yeah, and he was getting burned with it left and right, and then wherever Kittle lined up, they had a Thomas on, they had a Grant Haley even at times. But to me, it seemed like the game plan was Collins matched up against Kittle, and it really burned him in the first half. And he looked bad. Collins trying to cover him.
Yeah, and we can go over corner. Jenkins had the nice deflection. Had kind of a quiet game. The Kittle, whatever his name is, he was the primary receiver by a mile. The wide receivers for the 49ers were almost non-existent. They did nothing. So it was kind of a quiet game for Webb and Janoris Jenkins, who had the nice deflection for the interception. But overall, the defense just couldn't get off the field. I mean, the time of possession was the 49ers were plus 9 minutes, and if not for the 2 interceptions, it could have been a much different outcome. But Giants got the interceptions. Credit to them. They played hard all game, but the defense, man, no pass rush. It's just it's a disaster waiting to happen against some of the better offenses in the league, man.
Yeah, it's been a problem all year. All year. And guess what? It's going to be a problem Sunday, even against Fitzpatrick, because they got some guys that could really get down the field and get over the top on you. So, Jerry, what are you going to do? We're 9 games in. We have 10 sacks. Is it going to get better? Yeah, I mean, it's insane. Only the Raiders are worse. Is it going to get better? No. I mean, it is what it is. We got to hope Olivier gets a few sacks, a few more pressures. Maybe Carter, coming off that edge now, he starts kicking up in his last 7 games. Other than that, guys like Hill, Wynn, and Tomlinson are just not, pass rushing defensive tackles and stuff, and defensive ends. So, listen, that's going to be a priority in the draft, I'm sure, or maybe even free agency, trying to get a guy get in there with a few sacks. But it is what it is, Jerry.
What did you think of the play calling? And the one I'm going to go to is the one that I put on Twitter, where I circled Odell and I circled nobody covering him, and I couldn't understand why Eli just didn't see that and throw it to Odell. And they called I think it was 3rd and goal from the 2, and they called a run up the middle, and Barkley got stuffed right away. From what I understand, Eli audibled to a run, and what is your take on that? I mean, as a fan, I'm just frustrated by that play, because you see Beckham afterwards looking at Eli like, come on, you got to look at me. No one is on me.
Yeah, it looked like that Eli checked into a run, and that was it, and he stuck with it. He saw something in the defense that he felt, Saquon could have got in there, and he didn't. So I can't blame Shermer because Eli checked in. He did the throat sign there, like he checked into and run. I have to find out more.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. It was a very frustrating call because it was this is the stuff that drives you crazy about Eli, right? And again, when that game was over, I was ecstatic for him. I was so happy for him. He was smiling ear to ear. But when you do that on the goal line and you're 37, you just think of like, and I hate to use the example, you're gonna laugh at this one. You think of a Drew Brees, right? Tom Brady. They see that right away and they're throwing it, and they're almost going to underhand it to Beckham, and Manning just is so robotic sometimes and just calls the run, and you're like, dude, will you just look up to the left? I can imagine Odell was screaming at him.
Yeah, Odell was pretty upset. He saw him on the sidelines afterwards too. He couldn't believe Eli didn't see that. So I don't know. Eli didn't see it, Jerry. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and this is what you get with Eli throughout his career. He does things like that, and then at the end of the game, he looks like Johnny Unitas on the last drive, where if he's not completing passes, they're drawing penalties and getting down the field. He made some nice passes on that drive. The one to Barkley was beautiful. He hit Shepard for the score, and man, look, we're 2-7 in a crappy division where somehow, some way, the Cowboys beat the Eagles the other night. I'm not a believer in the Redskins. I know they won this past week, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. I just want to take week by week.
Yeah.
But
listen, Jerry, the only way you could start thinking along those lines, I know where you're going with this. The only way you could start thinking along those lines if let's put 2 games together first.
Yeah.
And then upset the dirtbags in Philly. And then you could start saying to yourself, all right, what's the records of the Redskins now? What are we looking at? Then you could start looking at that. But listen, this team hasn't really put together 2 good games in a row in a long time, it seems like. So let's just start on Tampa, who had, this is no slouch offense here coming in Sunday afternoon.
No, it's not. And the Giants secondary, it seems like a matchup that's a nightmare for the Giants secondary, but Buccaneer defense stinks. So, and the Giants haven't won at home. I just think like they got to be due for one. At home. And like you said, if they win that one, then they go to Philly and somehow slay the beast that have just beaten us for the last, it seems like 20 years. Then you get excited. Then you think, 4-7. And I know the Redskins will lose at least one in that time. They're not a dominant team. No one believes in the Cowboys. I mean, I don't care Amari Cooper or what, but, the other night the game was won by Ezekiel Elliott. I just look at the Giants and I think you have a team that's playing hard, that's very good in the skill positions, that maybe they could be dangerous. Again, let's rest. Let's put that aside, put it down for now, and just beat the Buccaneers Sunday, and let's see what they got there.
Yeah, it's looking way ahead, man. Let's just see what happens Sunday.
I have to do this because of the commentary, and we had 300 likes from a very unprofessional tweet by me, I admit it. But I hate Booger McFarland. I think that Monday night crew, and I don't want to talk too much about this because it's a Giants podcast, but you know what? The announcers in the NFL are starting to ruin games. And I'm dead serious. I mean, whether it's Buck and Aikman, Darryl Johnston, Jason, I just seems like I'm surrounded by Cowboys every week. If that last night, if that game doesn't force everyone to turn on FAN and listen to Banks and Papa, I really don't know what will. That conversation last night where you had Witten disagreeing with Booger McFarland about, is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer? Should they have taken Darnold? Like, oh my God.
In the middle of a close game, too.
In the middle of a close game. Like, my God, can you just announce the game like Madden and Summerall would and shut the hell up about the other stuff?
Yeah, listen, I don't know what happened to ESPN. We have a close friend that goes back and forth with us on Twitter who used to work for ESPN, and even he admits it, right? It's a shell of itself. He doesn't know what happened to that station either. I don't get it. Listen, the whole thing on the sidelines with Booger and the stuff he was saying yesterday about tackle outside shoulders on Saquon, and I don't know. Listen, it is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. Booger's the whole thing is catastrophe. You know?
I think it's funny that everybody thinks his real name is Booger. I had so many tweets coming at us saying, "Who names their kid Booger?" I'm like, it's Anthony, guys. How do you not remember him? He played for the Buccaneers, and some of it, I think, maybe he just hates the Giants because he played with Warren Sapp, who hated Strahan and Simeon Rice, and they had that vendetta back in the day. I don't know, man, but I had an idea that the NFL can feel free to take from me. And my idea, if you don't switch to Pop and Banks, which I suggest you do, I think the NFL should come out with different announce choices, and DirecTV can charge for it. So whereas you get the Sunday ticket, you can actually choose different announce teams based on the game you're watching. So you could have the one they give you, or you could have two other guys from a random location. Or, I think it would be hilarious to have me and you do a game, and then people choose.
I was just going to say, I thought that's where you were going. I think you were going me and you in the booth.
I mean, I'll be you'll be the color commentary. I'll be the regular, what is it? I don't even know what it's called. Regular announcer. I don't know. I'll be the Summerall. You be the Madden.
Could we do any worse than some of these guys?
I don't think we can, and I think it would be awesome to hear you call people buffoon over and over and over again.
Yeah. But as a matter of fact, if we were in the booth last time and Booger came out in one of his statements, I would have said, Booger, that's a buffoon statement. I think the fans would have liked that one, you know?
Yeah, I just, it's ruining the game, and the officiating's one thing. The officiating's been bad, but it's actually gotten better the last couple of weeks. But man, as a Giants fan, it feels like us against the world. But huge win for the Giants, 2-7, and you put out a great tweet today. I don't judge fans for rooting for the Giants to lose, because if you're saying I want them to lose for a better draft pick, I'm not going to judge you, but at the same time, just let them win and then let the chips fall where they may, please. Like license plate guy says, I want them to win. Like I don't care about draft picks when you're 1-7 and mathematically alive. Like I'd rather watch a team like the team last year gave up. This team's not giving up, right? And last year, I think the Ram game was the best example of a team that just said they just packed it in. But man, that kind of drives me crazy. Like people were mad last night because the Giants went from 1-3 as far as drafting, and now they're not going to get Herbert, and it's ridiculous, man. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if the Giants are going to trade up, or if the Giants are just going to take the best player available, because we just talked about it. I mean, they need a pass rusher, they need a corner, they need a safety, they need linemen.
Listen, Jerry, I don't quite get that thinking either. I guess I understand where people come from with that, as far as, I hope we lose the rest of the games. I was never like that. I'm pretty sure you were never like that. Maybe, Jerry, the last game of a year where they could finish number one overall. You don't really want to win a game. Maybe I'll give you that. Game 16, where you say to yourself, "Oh man, I kind of hope they lose this game because they're going to finish first, right? If they lose, as opposed to finish fourth or something like that." But 1-7 and saying, "Oh, I hope they lose the last 9 games because I want a draft pick." I don't go with that at all. I want them to win games. Whoever they wind up in the draft, they wind up in the draft. You saw. You know what? These guys, they're busting their. You know what? To try to win games. And I was happy for them last night, especially a guy like Mike Thomas. You saw how happy he was on social media last night.
Yep.
Eli, Shep, Odell. Okay. I don't know where people get this perception of Odell that he thinks it's all about him. It's the it's the farthest thing for the truth, Jerry, about Odell. He wants to win. You saw how happy he was last night, right? He was happy. So how about Olivier Vernon, who very rarely tweets? He threw out a tweet last night. Big win for us. This and that. So I was happy, everybody. I'm happy when the Giants win, Jerry. I know you're happy when the Giants win. I was happy to see Eli smile. Happy to see a lot of people. I was happy for Coach Shermer. Very happy for him. And I hope we try to win every game that that's on the schedule. And that's the way I look at it, bud.
Yeah, and Tank Commander Mara changed his name last night, I think, to Victory Mara. Now he's Pissed Mara. So.
Oh, now he's back to Pissed Mara?
Yeah, keeps changing.
Why, he's pissed that they won?
No, I think he's just back in the regular week mode and wants to try and win again. And they're 2-7, Pissed Mara. So.
No, I wish it would stay Tank Commander, but okay.
Wanted to bring up one piece of NFL news today. Very interesting. The Jacksonville Jaguars picked up Patrick Omameh.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, I guess was Coughlin think he's going to work magic there? I mean,
That's
you know what?
that's the thing. Like, why is no one criticizing Coughlin? Like for a year, I heard, oh, the Jacksonville Jaguars have it going on. They got Coughlin. He knows talent. Blah blah blah. And in the last 3-4 weeks, he picked up Eric Flowers and Patrick Omame.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, Eric Flowers, who was pretty pissed off at my friend Ed Valentine. I saw he do a tweet at Valentine last night, huh?
I didn't see that. Go ahead, talk about it.
Yeah, Ed from Big Blue View reported that he got beat with a sack and like, gave up a few pressures or something like that. And Eric Flowers said he was a liar.
That's great.
On Twitter last night. You know what? As far as Omame, I guess, he wasn't that bad for Jacksonville last year. He was a serviceable guard. I guess once Coughlin gets him in the building after a few weeks, he's going to realize, he's going to say to himself, wow, what happened to this guy? Now I know why the Giants got rid of him.
And that shows you how mentally weak Eric Flowers is. Like, really? You're reading Ed Valentine, nothing against Ed Valentine, but you're reading a reporter's tweets from the team that you used to play for. Like, dude, you have to change whatever you're doing. Your mental makeup to get ready for a game, your life, everything. If you're letting that bother you, first off, just hit the block button like I do. I love blocking people that I can't stand or muting them. Then you won't see it anymore. Like, why would you respond to that? How stupid can you be?
Eric, he's a big, sensitive kid, man. And, that's his makeup. Like you said, he should be more worried about some technique than looking at Twitter, but that's what he is. That was part of his problem. Mentally weak, and pretty tough to be mentally weak in the NFL, Jerry.
Buddy, we'll leave it at that because this was a victory cast. This felt good. And
Question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Brandon Marshall has never made the playoffs. Does it count for making the playoffs? Now he's picked up in the ninth game of the year, 10th game, whatever the Saints are playing Sunday. Because they're going to the playoffs, the Saints. Does this count for Brandon?
Well, I guess, but it'd be really funny if the Saints tank. And so, everybody, I'll say it now rather than next week, rather than the next podcast in 2 days. I picked the Bengals to beat the Saints. Chris reminded me very quickly that I was wrong. But there was
game, Jerry?
Yeah, what's that?
What was the score of that game, my friend?
51-14. So
what was that game played?
I was clearly wrong. However, there was a game that I was right, and it was played last night.
Yes, you are. And I'm proud of you, bud. You did stick with the Giants last night, and you said it was going to be a close one, and you felt that Eli was going to pull him through, and you hit it right on the head.
I mean, listen to the audio of that one. It's going to be a close game. Eli's going to lead him to a victory, and they did. So, Giant fans out there laughing at me for taking the Bengals. What would you rather I be right with, the Bengals or the Giants?
Good job, Mr. Foley. I like the way you tried to cover up quickly with that Saint prediction, but good job, Mr. Foley. Good job.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Be sure to order your copy of the Giant Insider newspaper. Go to www.giantinsider.com or visit magster.com for a digital subscription. That's magzter.com. Yearly subscriptions are $39.95 for paper copies, and the digital version is only $17. The next podcast will be 8 p.m. on Thursday, November 15th, so only a 2-day break. We're going to do our predictions for this weekend, and we'll take your Twitter questions, which is always fun for us. Usually we take it on the Monday or /Tuesday podcast, but since we won, we wanted to talk about the game because winning around here is, the wins are few and far between. But thanks for listening to the Giant Insider podcast. I'm Jerry Foley. He's Chris.
Jerry.
Yes.
Jerry,
yes.
Really quick.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you everybody for listening to this podcast every week. We're getting a lot of downloads. Tell all your friends about it. I'm glad you like it. The more downloads, the better for me and Jerry. So thank you very much, man.
Look at you, Chris Marketing. And make sure you give us those awesome. I think we have 24 reviews already on iTunes, and they're 5 stars. So keep that coming, guys. We love it. Thank you so much. And most importantly, remember, Sundays are Giant days. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Take care.